I am Caroline. I'm 31 years old. I currently take care of our domestic chores while being at home. For the past 3 years, my spouse Jerry, 4 years my senior, and I have resided with his parents, Henry and Marilyn. Henry and Marilyn are both in their 60s and in good health. Jerry's mother Marilyn is quite outgoing and leads a busy social life. Despite not having a job outside the home, I have observed that Marilyn rarely helps out around the house since we moved in. She used to be a stay-at-home mother, but these days she mostly delegates household duties to me. Marilyn sometimes tells me to take time off, but when she comes back, she gets mad at me if things aren't perfect. I've made an effort to talk to her about this and let her know that I might not be able to finish everything before she departs, but she brushes off my worries. Frequently, she makes the comment that having a lot of duties to do is typical and berates my generation for not managing as effectively as hers did. Marilyn also constantly compliments Jerry, mentioning that she is proud of his work at a prestigious company in particular, and she also feels that even though Jerry puts in a lot of effort, I fall short. She now frequently comments on this comparison. Jerry's response is not helpful. When Marilyn bemoans my efforts during meals, all he does is answer with a detached, "Oh really?" which conveys very little encouragement. When Jerry was younger, I respected him for his maturity. But these days, even when I work late into the night, I frequently feel like a housekeeper. The issue has gotten harder and harder, and I wish Jerry would defend me more. It seems like he doesn't realize how much I've contributed to our house. Instead of coming right up to me, he throws laundry at me, pointing at my face, and says curtly that I should take care of that too. Because of how much he has changed since our wedding, I regret getting married to him. He brought home a cake on our first anniversary, but he also laughed about it and playfully crushed a pie in my face. It's remarkable that he's an adult. But there is one bright spot in my life. Henry, my father-in-law. He always asks if I need help with anything and is quite peaceful. In this household, he is the only one who is friendly to me. Henry has grown to be a confidant since I quit my work to get married. He's become more and more special to me, and I now consider him to be a father figure. But Henry works throughout the day, so I find myself spending a lot of time by myself with Marilyn. I can talk to Henry as I like, but Marilyn becomes grumpy with me. Because Jerry ignores me, she even started accusing me of flirting with my father-in-law. She would toss these charges around while Henry was not around. I attempted to refute it, but she ignored me, sarcastically inquiring as to if she had offended anyone, always prepared with a scathing rejoinder. Our discussions appeared to get off topic at all. I brought these concerns up with Jerry, thinking he might realize they were nothing more than Marilyn's baseless fears. But he dismissed me with a joke about my newfound interest in older guys. It was glaringly obvious that nothing would shift. Not only did I not think he would start doing chores and stop making fun of Marilyn, but I also didn't think he would respond the way he did. I felt more and more uncomfortable in their house after such a big shock. Marilyn got talking one summer day about organizing a summer vacation trip for Jerry's family. Marilyn asked whether I wanted to go on a family trip, which surprised me because I had assumed it was just her usual enthusiasm for trips. I had assumed they might go without me. Therefore, I hadn't anticipated receiving an invitation. Marilyn saw me hesitate, or look doubtful, and asked whether I really wanted to go. Her unexpected invitation unsettled me. I was unsure of her motivation and concerned about her possible reaction if I said no. Jerry brought up the trip again that evening, asking if I was going to be attending. I was surprised by his response when I mentioned that I had been invited. He laughed heartily. I asked him why he thought it was hilarious, feeling even more uncomfortable and confused, but he waved my inquiry away, saying it was unimportant. Jerry was driving, Marilyn was sitting next to him, and I was in the back of the car on the day of the trip. Henry's professional duties kept him from joining us at first. My nervousness increased when I couldn't see their faces while we were driving. Marilyn asked me halfway through whether I had taken out any money for the vacation, and I said that I had, a total of a few hundred. Her happy expression struck me as odd. I realized we had driven past the inn where we were meant to stay as we carried on. Did we just pass the inn? I inquired. Jerry gave a hazy response, saying we would check in after viewing the tourist attraction ahead. I was filled with a sense of dread as his smile failed to reach his eyes. The longer we traveled, the more luscious and desolate the surroundings became. I sighed quietly, so that neither Marilyn nor Jerry would hear me worry. After a while we reached a tiny isolated dam with very few people there. Jerry reminded us not to leave anything precious in the car, and Marilyn advised us to come outside and stretch our legs. I did as they said and ventured out into the strange surroundings, still attempting to process the day's surprising turns of events. Jerry and Marilyn appeared to be hesitating as I got out of the car and closed the door, as though they were trying to adjust something inside. The sound of the locks engaging was then audible to me. With the windows barely cracked open, Jerry started giggling hysterically. Perplexed, I inquired, "What's happening? Do we intend to spend the night here?" A wave of rage for Marilyn passed, but I controlled myself. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying not to lose my temper. "You walked right into that one, didn't you?" Jerry replied, laughing so hard he had to clutch his stomach. My wallet and cell phone were still in the car. Everything had unfolded just as Marilyn and Jerry had planned. "Have fun out here, Caroline," Marilyn sneered mockingly. "Maybe you can eat some grass and sleep under the stars." Jerry, still holding my wallet, rifled through it and then rolled up the window. Their laughter faded as they drove off, leaving me stranded. Standing alone, feeling the heat, I muttered to myself, "Well, this is just great." Despite the sweltering heat and the risk of dehydration, I surprisingly didn't panic. About an hour later, I found myself in the lobby of the inn where we were originally supposed to stay. "Why are you here?" Jerry exclaimed, shocked to see me as he entered the lobby. "Are you a ghost? Did something happen at the dam?" He looked utterly bewildered. Marilyn, who looked like she was on the verge of fainting, eyed me nervously. I considered playing along and pretending to be a ghost just to tease them, but I decided against it. "I'm not a ghost, and I'm staying here tonight," I told them, showing them the key to my room where I had already dropped off my luggage. Jerry couldn't make sense of the situation and started to get agitated. He thought I had taken the key to their room without permission. "What are you doing? Give it back," he demanded, reaching for the key aggressively. However, I was prepared for their antics this time, and I stood my ground, ready to confront whatever came next. Just then, a man stepped forward and firmly grasped my husband's hand. "Sir, please refrain from causing a disturbance here," he said with authority. He was about the same age as Henry, but with a stronger build and taller stature, which made him appear more commanding than my middle-aged, slightly overweight husband. "Who are you? Are you staff here? You can't just interfere with a guest like this. I'll sue you for assault." Marilyn shouted at the man who intervened. "I apologize for not introducing myself earlier. I am the owner of this inn," the man replied calmly. Upon hearing this, my husband quickly released my hand. I recognized the owner. Back in my college days, I had visited this area with friends during a summer break. It was an extremely hot day, and we got lost on our way to our accommodation. During our ordeal, we stumbled upon a girl who collapsed on the side of the road, Kelly, the owner's daughter. We immediately called for an ambulance and stayed with her until help arrived. The next day, the owner visited us at the inn where we were staying and thanked us profusely. "You saved my daughter's life. Thank you so much," he had said. He also extended an invitation. "Next time you're in the area, please stay with us. You won't have to pay." Since then, my family and I have visited the inn several times, so I knew the owner quite well. As he addressed my husband and Marilyn, he remained polite, yet I could sense the undercurrent of anger in his demeanor. In fact, both the owner and I were aware of Marilyn and my husband's scheme from the beginning. 3 weeks ago, feeling suspicious about their sudden invitation for a trip, I decided to set up a voice recorder in the living room. I strategically placed it to capture conversations when my husband and Marilyn thought they were alone, like when I was taking a bath or doing laundry. When I stumbled upon their plan, it was utterly shocking. I heard my husband and Marilyn plotting over a recorded conversation. "Let's ditch Caroline somewhere. It would be hilarious. How about near that dam an hour's drive from the inn?" Realizing the gravity of their scheme, I immediately contacted the owner of the inn to inform him about what was unfolding. The owner was livid upon hearing this, having once experienced his daughter collapsing in the heat. He felt a personal connection to my predicament and was even more perturbed by their callousness. With the situation clear to him, he meticulously arranged my pickup for today, just after my husband and Marilyn's car had departed. Interestingly, the driver of the inn's shuttle turned out to be Kelly, the very girl we had helped years ago. "I got my license. Let's go for a drive," she exclaimed with excitement. Despite my initial surprise, I agreed, and we chatted happily, even stopping to buy some local specialty ice cream on the way back to the inn. Even though I knew about the plan and that a pickup was coming, I was still worried. But Kelly, knowing the area exceptionally well, expertly navigated, and we arrived at the inn significantly before my husband and Marilyn. "You mentioned suing earlier, ma'am," the inn owner said, addressing Marilyn with a stern look. "Yes, I did. It's outrageous to be accused of the opposite." Marilyn snapped back defiantly. "I'm sorry, but you're not our guest," the owner responded firmly. "What? Don't mess with us." My husband and Marilyn both lost their tempers simultaneously. "Your reservations have been canceled," the owner stated plainly. "And who do you think you are?" My husband blustered, on the verge of another outburst. The owner held him back. "Caroline did nothing wrong. We at the inn canceled your reservations," the owner explained calmly. "What do you mean?" my husband demanded. "If you leave a woman alone at a dam in the mountains after stealing her wallet, wouldn't you be committing a crime?" The owner posed rhetorically, emphasizing the gravity of their actions. "We cannot permit such behavior at our inn," he declared, and revealed that he had already called the police. My husband and Marilyn became even more incensed at this revelation. "This is no joke. You can't treat us this way. I work for a respected company," my husband protested, as if his job should afford him special treatment at this quaint mountain inn. Just then, Henry arrived, immediately sensing the tension. "Hey, what's going on here?" he asked, surveying the scene. Marilyn and my husband quickly tried to spin the story, accusing the inn staff of rudeness and claiming they wanted to stay elsewhere. However, when Henry was briefed on the actual events, He became enraged, a side of him I'd never seen before. "You idiots!" he yelled, clearly embarrassed. "I can't believe we're from the same family. You two, get out of here now." My husband and mother-in-law were stunned by Henry's outburst. "Where to? Another inn?" they asked, bewildered. But Henry was resolute. "You're disarmed. Get out." "No, don't make me say it again," he commanded, pushing my husband away. As the police arrived, my husband and Marilyn's complexions turned ashen. The owner and I explained the entire scenario to the officer, and I played back the recorded conversation. My husband and Marilyn began to cry, but Henry interjected sharply. "Quiet down. You're disturbing the inn. Officer, please take them away." "It's not like that, officer. We didn't think it would be such a big deal. It was just a prank." My husband tried to explain, but the officer's expression hardened. "A prank? Are you serious? Don't you realize that your little joke could have put someone's life at risk, especially your own wife's?" They were scolded harshly, though they weren't arrested due to the familial nature of the matter. Marilyn and my husband looked pale throughout the ordeal. "This isn't over. Caroline's feelings will determine your future, understand." With those final words, they left, still visibly shaken. Henry, who seemed apologetic for not intervening sooner, stayed behind to ensure everything was settled. Henry repeatedly expressed his remorse. "I'm sorry. I can't apologize enough for not noticing the unpleasant experiences you've been having and the terrible ordeal you went through today." He also extended a deep apology to the inn owner for the trouble caused by his family's actions. Interestingly, it turned out that the inn owner, who also runs several other businesses, is a client of the company where Henry works. Unaware of this connection, my husband had earlier boasted about his position at a prominent company, adding another layer of embarrassment to the situation. I was relieved that I had uncovered my husband and Marilyn's plan in time, but it was also a sobering reminder of what might have happened if I hadn't been vigilant. I hoped that being reprimanded by the police would help them realize the gravity of their actions. I decided to file for divorce from my husband after we got back from the inn, and I asked for a sizable settlement, thinking that this would teach them not to injure anyone else. Unexpectedly, Henry and Marilyn also ended up getting divorced. After the incident, Henry broke off all contact with my ex-husband and threw him out of the house. In addition, my ex-husband received advice to quit his position. His actions at work had also been troubling for a while. He had been unkind to his engineers and co-workers in the same way that he had handled me, and the HR department was already considering taking legal action against him. As I thought back on what I had done, I was disappointed to see that I had somewhat emulated such bad behavior. My ex-husband was unemployed now and had difficulty finding work. Even at his advanced age, he had no experience in management at his prior employer, thus he had trouble justifying his move. Marilyn was also expelled by Henry and went to live with family before going back to her parents' house. These events signaled a dramatic change in the course of events, emphasizing the fallout from their deeds and the value of integrity in both personal and professional spheres. Marilyn's tendency towards spending and traveling continues to raise concerns. If she were to move in with them, her relatives fear she would spend all of their savings. Since her health is still sound, it might be wise for her to think about getting a part-time work so she can support herself and allay these worries. I currently live independently close to my in-laws after moving out of their home. Henry and I are friends, and sometimes I ask him for guidance on work-related matters. I'm starting a new chapter in my life by accepting new professional chances instead of continuing in my prior function as a caregiver for the family and manager of domestic chore. A business owner who knew of my recent struggles contacted me during my employment search. He offered me a job at his company and showed care. He was ready to assist me in establishing a solid foundation within his company. Feeling touched by